Welcome back to another Linux Gamecast weekly. The show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, the latest version of Unreal Engine for games has defaulted to Vulkan, but you shouldn't really get too excited about that. And Artifact, that thing from Steam, the card game, it's got a FAQ, and more importantly, a price tag.
Have isometric RPGs run their course? No, it's the children who are wrong. And Lutris gets a new release, and Strider disappears into a cloud of smoke.
Another developer scraps Linux in favor of Proton. I'm not liking this trend. And NVIDIA unfucked their drivers. Only took them 2 months.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, look, hang on. Come on, Pedro. Come back to us. Come back to us. Another family-friendly episode of LGC Weekly. I'm Cold Man Vin. That is Jordan Swing. And that is Pedro with his
Hello.
lean. It's kind of fun. It's terrifying. Together with you, watching at home, playing the home game, joining us, helping us form Go Game Voltron. Yeah, you didn't get it last week either, YouTube. Suck it. Before we get started, we do like to play that little game, just see what's going on in each other's life organs. Pedro and Jordan did nothing, so they're not going to say anything before we get into the news. Me, I played BioShock 2 Remastered, guys. Yay! I feel like an IRL XKCD comic, where it's like I wait for X amount of years.
Yeah,
to play the games. It wasn't bad.
Gamers.
The game wasn't. The only reason I'm bringing it up, it works with Proton, the remastered version, out of the box with DXVK. Just click, run, no crashes. More importantly, the game by itself wasn't fucky enough for me. It's like, you know what? I'm going to play this with a Steam controller, which I did to completion. That also happened. It was brilliant, and that was. Oh yeah, I do want to throw this out. Amazon, Jill, I made good use. Jill gave me a Amazon gift card for my birthday. It's like, man, I'm going to go crazy with this. I'm just going to go buy myself something completely. I ended up buying MIDI cables. And they worked, but I wanted to tell everyone that Amazon has free shipping on anything until the end of Hail Santa Day. And that was
not in Canada, they don't.
No, not in Canada.
Not
also,
in the UK.
Also, this is what I wanted to say, though. I'm guessing because it's like loaded with advertisements now, like in the box. Because I opened it up and it was like a thing for a shirt, and I was like, "Motherfucker, they sent me."
I remember I bought like some cables from Monoprice a while ago.
These were from
like,
Monoprice.
No, but yeah, no, it came with like an advert for like a shirt tailoring service and a boxed wine of the month club, like $20 off
$100 gift card for that.
Yeah,
I got that too.
Yeah. Okay. So like everyone's doing this now, where it's like this has nothing to do with anything I ordered, but apparently these companies are paying good money to have their shit shoved into my box alongside my other stuff.
Oh, what have you been up to this week, man?
Oh, not much. Playing more Breath of the Wild and Disgaea 5, because I can play my Switch upside down, or on the toilet, or on the couch, or actually I don't go outside, so not that. Yeah, no, just looking for
I do
new
want to
jobs.
ask you. You know, you can. There's a legit official YouTube app for that now.
Yeah, that launched this week. If I'm watching YouTube on the go, it'll probably be on my phone though, because that has like a data plan.
Okay. Seems legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I spent the whole week going to and back from London to get my CICDN 1 course through, and now I gotta pay £100 and something to get the exam. Yeah.
100.
But I think work will cover that cost for me, so that's good.
I like your optimism, I think. So I'm just going to take this. And
Supposedly, my boss said that it would, so we'll see.
See what you got to do is you're looking at for, hey Pedro, you want to do some training? Cool, hop on this bus like tomorrow. show up at this place, and you'll be fine.
In my imagination, there's just a running bet at the office to how many times they can send him to London before he catches on.
Yeah.
Unlike our horse, who is not caught on in 6 years.
No, I mean, we sprayed it down with some non-stick stuff, so it doesn't catch on to the bat once we beat it every week. It's the Steam Linux update of the week.
Wow, that's a new sound. It's terrible. Don't do that again.
All right.
Oh, no.
So, yes.
Quit.
So, Steam,
Seriously.
so there was a Steam bug that was patched earlier this week. Artem, not Artyom, not from Metro, but some other Artem. He discovered that there's some input validation. There was an input validation error in the provisioning key URL, because Steam has an API for provisioning keys for humble services and whatnot. Where if you put a 0 to the keys, to the number of keys that you selected, or the key, set your key count to 0, you could basically just
again.
Key, motherfucker.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can redeem any number of keys for any Steam game as long as you had the Steam ID. So he reported that to Valve, and he got about $20K for finding this bug. Here's a question though: do you think he's going to spend it on Steam games at all? Does he already have all the ones he wants now?
No, here's the thing. Valve said that they would pay people who found vulnerabilities in their stuff a pittance, and at least they're making good on that. Still, 20,000 for basically a bug that would let anyone have as many keys as they wanted? It should be worth a bit more, no?
It definitely could. Well, here's the thing. He was able to generate 36,000 keys for Portal 2.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
I think we would have got a faster response time if it was for like the trading card API.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be. Anyway, we can keep track of things. Steam database extension for Steam websites, because, yeah, it doesn't work on GOG for some reason. I keep trying. This is an update. It's got some new business in it. They've updated the browser extension to make the Steam key activation page more useful so it works. That's kind of a thing. They've added a Steam install link and a Steam DB link. And on failed activations, it'll tell you which package, giggity, it didn't activate. It's like, this is cool. I'll never use it. Pedro?
Yeah, no, I liked the one thing that they mentioned is the ability to display hidden achievements and their descriptions on your achievements page, because there are some games that have hidden achievements, and the description of that achievement is what you need to do in order to unlock it. So I gave it a go, and I went to my library. It's like, oh, that's what I need to do to get that achievement. Oh, that's what I need to do to get that achievement. Okay. So yeah, you get the cheat.
Oh, I can't do it. Jordan, are you an achievement monkey? I fail. Here's one I know I'm about to get. Is the Stanley Parable one. I'm going to get it legit.
The go outside one.
The one don't play the game for 5 years.
Yeah. It's called Go Outside. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I can see this being useful for people who like primarily interact with Steam through the browser. Unless I have to redeem something through Curator Connect, I'm usually just looking at the Steam client, though.
Fix that, Valve. I know this is like first world game reviewer problems, but
we've been glaring about this for months now.
I know. All we do is we get an email. It doesn't tell us that how many copies have been sent to us or what game. It's like, you have a new Curator Connect offer. I got to be in a mood to even bother to check it. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, the last one we got also sent us 3 keys.
That's good. Maybe they could provide that sort of information in the email.
Yeah.
I don't know. Then again, we just need to shut the hell up about that. It's like, oh yeah, fuck you with your free games. And you know what? That person saying that would be correct. All right.
It's time to duel.
Oh man, the game I genuinely spent the pre super shows and saying, if somebody else wants to come in through the chairs at this and it doesn't involve me, the better. There's just a big gang effect. And Steam's like, I'm going to answer all your questions. And the only one was like, I guess I'll try the game and maybe give it a play. And like, it's going to be $19.99. Guess I'm not getting it. 1, it's a card game. 2, I don't, 1B, don't care about card games. C, you still got to buy shit in order to play it though, right?
Mm-hmm.
We finally get some word on the pricing.
What?
Yeah. Per pack.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Apparently I'm Two-Face now. Yeah. No, you're going to be able to get a pack of 10 cards for about $2, and it's what $4.95 for an event invite. Events can be considered like gauntlets or tournaments or whatnot. Oh god, oh god, it's composite Pedro. It has all the powers of Jordan and Pedro. Oh, it's terrifying.
There, now it's set.
Can we go cross-eyed? Oh, not fucking around. Apparently, so the $20 at launch gets you a bunch of stuff. We knew you're gonna get a couple starter decks. You get the red-green brawler deck and the blue-black control deck. Pedro is going to explain why this is problematic in a little bit. But you also get a bunch of booster packs, and yeah, the events will. We were wrong before. There are actually going to be a couple ways you can get cards through the game, but you're still probably going to have to pay. Some of they have drafts where like everyone sort of picks their cards in sequence and doesn't come with like a pre-built deck. In some drafts you get to keep those cards, and other ones you just get to keep the prizes. I don't know, I'm a little curious about it, but Pedro, it's a little too similar to that other game that Richard Garfield designed.
Yeah, it is, because if you're anything like me and you actually played a lot of Magic the Gathering back in the day, you started reading this, it's like, oh yeah, the red-green brawler, what? And the blue-black control, the what? It's like, oh yeah, that's Magic the Gathering deck terms right there. It's something that, to anyone who's ever played Magic the Gathering, that immediately pops into your head. It's like, Whatsy's gonna sue somebody, and by Watsy I mean Wizards of the Coast, who currently hold the trademark rights to Magic the Gathering, even though, yeah, like Jordan mentioned, this is being done by Richard Garfield, who was the creator of Magic the Gathering, but yeah, it is currently a Watsy property, so
it was always a Watsy property.
No, I did.
MTG wouldn't exist.
Legitimate question.
Wizards wouldn't exist without MTG.
100%. What are event tickets? Like, really? I'm just reading through this fact, and it's like event tickets are used to it. You want more money to just like play on top of it?
They're like the season things on Dota and Counter-Strike Global Offensive and Rocket League, like the season ticket.
I mean, you get 5 event tickets from the beginning, so I guess that buys you entry into like 5 tournaments, and I think they're gonna be running stuff like every week or something like that. I know that Magic, the other Magic game on Steam, actual Magic proper, is doing a lot of that in their beta. Yeah, where they're constantly hosting events that people can buy into. We do know though that this is just going to be another freaking moneymaker for Valve, because everything has to go through the Steam trading card marketplace. So that's going to be a thing. I look forward to seeing a ton of exploits found surrounding that.
Yeah, everything better be in
maybe
shape,
more gambling,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, what's up next?
Up next, the Book of Proton gets another entry, this time from the Book of Demons. And, well, the developer said that they were working on a Linux version, and they ran into all kinds of issues, like the sound was cackling, and...
Cackling? Was it making fun of its small genitalia?
Crackling.
Okay, fine.
But on some distros and hardware configs, they were having that issue, and they also ran some limited tests with some players, and they claim that they spent more time on the Linux port than they did on the Mac port, and they say that Proton isn't perfect, but right now it's the best experience that they can provide, so they're just not going to bother with the Linux version, and everybody can Proton it if they so damn well please. So yeah, no, this is a trend that I'm already growing disillusioned with it, and we've only just started.
Yeah, like here's the MT originally posted this in our Discord, which you can join and watch that go out every week. We'll get to the plugging section later, but he basically boiled it down to, we can't program and it's Linux's fault. And when you're saying shit like, oh no, the OpenGL code that we wrote for OS 10 doesn't work on Linux, what are you telling me, that the gimped OpenGL implementation in OS 10 has a completely different performance profile than the obscenely feature complete version that you receive under Linux? What?
Who would have thunk it? Yeah, no, it's oh, what's that? OpenGL 4.1 on Mac has been stale for so long that people have basically figured it out, and we can just copy paste shit from the internet, while we actually have to go out of our way to learn a couple of things to do it properly on Linux. Yeah, fuck that.
Also, I've noticed this. I've noticed this trend that we've tested with like a bunch of distributions. What have you published? What testing has been done?
Listen,
have you asked
man,
anyone for help?
What you just need you both of you just need to be fucking thankful that they thought about doing Linux and buy their game anyway. You're part of the problem, and that's because Fifis or some bullshit like that. Anyway, I do kind of get it. Part of me is like, hey man, you know what? I would definitely rather have a functioning Proton port versus a unsupported, crapped out, clapped out Linux port. And I'd rather than be honest and say, hey man, we can't figure out how to Linux. We're going to admit that. And that's the thing.
I will give them one thing, which is they're saying that they will make Proton the official Linux version and they will officially support it.
Here's the problem, Brad. Here's the fucking problem. I've seen a couple of developers, even talked to one, that have some weird illusion that they can just get on the whitelist. Like right now, that list is not growing by leaps and bounds. Hell, it's not even growing by games per month. So, yeah, your shit's not going to be showing up on the whitelist anytime soon. Yet, because I'm sure Valve's going to be like...
Open the floodgates.
Right. So what were you going to say, Pedro?
No, it's if they are actively listening to people who are playing the game with Proton and fixing those bugs that those people are running into... Sure, that is a form of Linux support, even if it's not the ideal one, but it is a form of Linux support, and I'm willing to give them that.
But that's the thing. You shouldn't give them that. This is Valve providing a service for older games, and we have a lot of like new entries coming in saying, "Well, we don't have to support Linux now because Valve will do it for us."
Hence my disillusionment.
That's not treating Linux as a first-class citizen like the human fall flat guys who just said, "Oh, we're not going to support it anymore."
Jordan, just boot back into your Windows partition, bruh.
But all I have is Windows 95.
Wow. Hey, man, you got more than the people over at Pillars of Eternity 2 got. Oh,
yes. So, this is some interesting fallout from the whole Fig, I don't want to say debacle, but someone who had backed Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire at the level that allowed him to recoup some of his investment over Fig, was posting some stuff on Twitter. This is from Dylan Holmes. This is on oldasp.com. The links to all this is in our show notes. So apparently, for paying $1,000 for during their crowdfunding phase, he only made back less than $200. Apparently, their break even for Pillars of Eternity was 58,000 copies at $50, and
580,000
or 580,000. Sorry. But that was not even close to what happened. The game apparently only sold a little over 110,000 copies, which I mean makes sense because here's the thing about isometric RPGs is that they were very popular in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and they developed a very, very loyal fan base because they were really good engines for storytelling games. If you're an RPG fan, they have a lot of compelling mechanics to them. That are very similar to the tabletop incarnations, but that is a very niche market. And the fact that like Pillars of Eternity and Pathfinder and both of the Divinity Original Sins were all very successful crowdfunding games, but not really from like a actual game sold perspective after they were released, really does say that it's this core fan base that's keeping them alive.
Yeah. And it's, back in the day, it really made sense to have like those isometric RPGs. You could have all of those mechanics, all of that story, and you just, cut down on the graphics and make everything from that fixed perspective. Nowadays, We have Dragon Age Origins. We have the Skyrims. We have the Fallouts. It's like the new Fallouts. It's actually the perfect comparison, like the old Fallouts and the new Fallouts. The old Fallouts are still the better games in my opinion, but the new ones, yeah, you have the new technology showing, and of course that's going to sell more because people back in the day looked at those games and said, yeah, no. And nowadays it's like, it's got that mass appeal. So it's really unreasonable to expect almost 600,000 sales at $50 in order to recoup your money. That's just not going to happen.
I'm going to throw it down definitely for like Dylan. He did fig right. Honestly, I genuinely don't think anybody, okay, not anyone. There's going to be that percentage of like, this is a money-making opportunity. Get in early. Dylan did it right. Because it's like, I'm going to give him $1,000, because I want to support this. I want to make it happen. That's what you should do. That's fine. It's like, hey, if I make some scratch off of it, bonus soda. But yeah, I'm with you, Jordan. I mean, when I saw 110,000 copies, I was like, that's more than I thought I was going to sell.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of that is just the original Kickstarter backers, because the people who wanted this game and who were willing to pay for it funded it at like the crowdfunding level.
Right. They got their game.
You're not going to get much new in the way of new sales after that.
That icing on the cake, man. You get some free beer money. So look at it that way. Okay. We didn't have much in the way of new games this week, unfortunately, but most of it was movies. I saw a lot of new movies.
Yeah, there were a lot of movies.
Because I got excited. I saw the thumbnail and I was like, that looks awesome more.
Oh, it's a movie.
No, but one came out that does look at least interesting, maybe some after show bait. Citrouille, whatever you want to call it.
It's French for pumpkin, Pedro. Even I know that, and I'm from Canada.
I can't French. Yeah, you live in Canada. French is one of your official languages. In any case. No, this is, they say it's a modern spin on old arcade classics. It's basically a platformer where you can't jump, and your ability consists of making ladders in places so you can dodge whatever's coming at you, collect all the necessary stuff in order to win. That's it. But yeah, the whole concept is like, oh, it's a platformer where you can't jump. Huh.
I mean, that wasn't too uncommon back in the arcade days. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Burger Time, honestly. And again, I understand why you would want couch co-op for like an arcade style game, but guys, add some online multiplayer, please.
Yeah. No, that's the big one.
And so apparently, if you're good, you can make it through the story mode in about 30 minutes. So like maybe there's some possibility for like some King of Kong style speedrunning. Maybe make a hot sauce brand in the process. Who knows?
There's one thing I've learned definitely is people will definitely attempt to speedrun anything, and we'll come up with some surprising results. All right, that's going to speedrun this segment.
Indeed.
Yeah, coming up next, oh my god, we're going to talk about new NVIDIA drivers for the first time in who knows how long.
2 weeks.
And also, we got another developer
days.
who,
one half a month.
And another developer who thinks Linux is too hard.
Tradition is not what it used to be, but we do have a very traditional news segment coming up. That kind of threw me off a little bit there, Ben. But hey, it's Jordan now to talk to you about, well, yourselves and how you help support this very show. Which
Damn
is
right,
awesome.
Pedro. It's all about tradition. It's NVIDIA and Eve, not AMD and Steve. I don't know. You can support witty repartees such as that by heading on over to LinuxGameCast.com, clicking that support button, following any of the number of links there.
On behalf of LGC for that.
It's tradition, man. It's tradition. It's like that Fiddler on the Roof song. We got humble affiliate links, Amazon affiliate links. We got an Amazon wish list if you want to, make us your sugar babies and make with that delicious gift giving, get yourself on Frank's fuck wall. But you can also head on over to patreon.com/LinuxGameCast and install some NVIDIA drivers, you guys. Yeah. You go there, you enter your credit card number, you switch to
NVIDIA.
You switch to run level 3, and then you run. No, you get a bunch of cool stuff by joining our Patreon. You get access to our Discord channel, show note access. You can suggest stories for this program, what you're watching right now. Hell, if you even give us enough money, you can eavesdrop in on our production meeting. We did that a little bit earlier today with the pre super creep shows, and got a Doctor Who podcast for you guys. Sometimes I'm on that. Sometimes Jill's on that. All the time Ben's on that because reasons. And you can even buy your way onto the goddamn show. That's what Truggleswick did. I, and a couple others are playing Borderlands on Thursdays.
Oh yeah.
You can't play video games with Pedro though. That's not allowed. Even if you give him like $1,000, you can't play game with them.
Man,
yes,
dude, it's got to be all Pedro all the time because, like I say, I had a bet with myself. Pedro.
It doesn't have to be. It's just that I don't
Pedro's
do
not in
well
it,
with other
Pedro's
people.
not interested because I was like, Will, listen. Thanks everyone for making this possible. You're awesome. You allow us. Well, just support independent creators. You can be like, fuck us. I don't like listening to you guys. Go find some other people on Patreon and do it because it is an awesome way for creators. It lets us set up a budget and it lets us have plans in the future of like, this is shit we can do. We like to give you back. We like to dance for our money. And I do want to thank the Admiral, JT. He increased his pledge. He's also on Frank's wall back there. Hi, Frank.
Yes.
That's definitely the thing. Oh, back to giving Pedro shit.
Yeah. Let's keep doing that.
Pedro went to London, so he missed Wednesday. Jordan was kind enough to come in, and I was like, okay, all right. And I thought to myself when I was posting the show later that day, it's like, will Pedro even retweet this since he's not in it? And so hang on, we did this on Wednesday. Thursday rolls around. Check Pedro's Twitter. Nope. Friday rolls around.
It was almost midnight on Friday, and I was like, oh, shit, I forgot.
It wasn't even tonight. He's like, I wasn't in that. I don't care about that show. I wasn't in it, even though I've been on every episode right now. No Pedro, no retweets.
No, it's no, that one's on me. I completely forgot. But yeah, no, it's actually awesome to see that we've hit 8 bits in Patreon monies. That's 256 a week. Thank you all very, very much.
Amazing. Hey, Pedro.
Yeah.
Pedro.
Hey.
Lean closer to the mic.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Pull the mic closer to you, whichever works better. Because I want everyone to hear your dulcet tones when we talk about your favorite thing in the entire world. You heard that right, Nori.
It's really not. In fact, lately it has been the furthest from my favorite thing because NVIDIA really cocked up the 410 release, at least on my end, and anyone who was running, up-to-date packages. But hey, with the 415.13 beta, big thanks to Mir for bringing this up on Discord yesterday. This version has 2 very relevant bug fixes for me. Fix the bug that would cause Wine to crash on recent OS releases. Yes. Fix the bug that could cause an X server crash when exiting Vulkan applications running on X servers with UBB enabled. So let's run this down. Proton
Hi, my
is
name's Vin,
wine.
and I suffer from hard DPMS.
I'm so sorry to hear that, Ven. Is there anything I can do?
So Proton is wine, and wine that runs a Vulkan application. So when wine crashed, the Vulkan application, or the Vulkan context, would exit. The X session would then proceed to crash. Yeah, that's really bad there, NVIDIA. Really bad. But hey, it's fixed now, and as far as I could test, it is fixed, so good on them for that, and the crashiest of my streams shouldn't happen anymore. Watch on Tuesday as I eat those words.
See,
I was going to say, we'll watch on Tuesdays and watch them eat shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pedro's
They
tying
also,
it up. He's like, make sure it's snug. There we go.
The thing that also kind of dumbfounded me was they changed the minimum requirement for Linux kernel version from 269 to 2632.
Got upgrade.
What?
You hear that, Arch users?
So I legitimately think this is 100% stop people from using NVIDIA drivers on CentOS 5.
Maybe.
or maybe up-to-date versions of Debian stable. Who knows?
I want to tell everyone, I was just out of curiosity, not necessarily with this driver release, but I had been running the 395.whatever.9, the ones that were optimized for that new fuckiness they added to the Vulkan.
396.5409.
.9, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
999.
This is not a hill I'm going to fucking die on. Anyway, those are supposed to be optimized for games that did a thing. And it's like, okay, I like these. They work, but I want to try the 410, which are those considered like short-term stable right now, Pedro?
Yeah, that's
right.
the short-lived branch that they call it. Yeah.
So tried that, and just playing around with like Shadow Warrior, couldn't tell the difference. Like within the margin of error. It was like, whoa, this is crap again. But no, completely playable. For anyone playing the home game, just wanted to throw that out there. Now you know. Learning's half the battle. Wait, knowing. I don't know. Something's a battle. Unreal Engine 421. It is out. What's new? A gang of shit, people. The big one. Hang on. We got to do the Control F Linux. Linux augmented. Hey, we got 10 mentions. There it is. Linux defaults to Vulkan render. New Linux media player. Linux crash report client GUI. Do anything else? Linux SDK cross. Oh, it's Clang. Krang. Yep. That's the thing.
Krang. That's Skeletor, Pedro. Learn your 1980s cartoons villains. Krang was the little gum man who was in freaking Master Blaster.
Nerd. Check it out. I tried it out. It works. 1804. If you follow me on the Twitters, I threw that business. I was like, look at me. It is compared to, I remember, like, admittedly, it was probably like, what, 5 days after it was source available. It took a bit of work to get it up and running and to build. But it is genuinely, like, you run setup sh, generate project files, throw make j, whatever threads you get in there, and getting the UE4 editor up and running, not a problem whatsoever. It built. I could launch it. Unreal Engine. Okay, maybe part of this was because I really wanted to try the game and try to kind of get it to work. And no, it ain't shit, unfortunately. However, all this business is in the show notes. You can go check that out because I put it in there because I might have needed a place to paste the build instructions. And the show notes happened to be open. And I didn't. I neo-dodged a bullet, that fucking rabbit hole, because I had the editor open, and then I was like, oh, let's open the first-person shooter thing. Then 10 minutes, and I'm like elbow deep in the textures and shit. I'm like, nope, get out of here, get out of here. Abort, put it down, delete it, wipe it from the box. Like, we do not need to go down that rabbit hole. But Vulkan render. So we can 100% confirm this was the last thing they needed to do before Fortnite, right? On Linux, confirmed?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Now that Vulkan is the primary render on Linux, I guess some of these projects are going to have to start supporting Vulkan.
Nope. Can't do it.
Because they'll just stop supporting Linux. That way they don't have to.
It runs in Proton. It's fine. DXVK, bro. actually, speaking of that, there's a new version of it out. This is version 0.91, and it fixes a couple things. If you're playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider because you don't want to wait for Feral to port it, your state cache was randomly getting deleted. That is no longer the case. Demo has some synchronization issues fixed. People can play WoW again because that new expansion's out. People need to give their lives away to that. And if a couple games like Assassin's Creed have reduced CPU overhead unless you're playing them in a browser.
Yay.
Yay.
So, Pepsi challenge. Do you think Shadow of the Tomb Raider will get whitelisted before Feral makes a port?
That depends how much money Feral gives to Steam.
Do you think... I know we were talking about this in our Discord earlier this week because I was like, wait a minute. Who was it? Somebody, I think they're watching right now. They're like, Hitman 2, the new one, not the old Hitman 2, because apparently there's multiple Hitman 2. That not confusing.
Yeah.
But it is running on the same, I think, what was it? Glacia is their engine.
Okay.
But we were talking about that, and it's like, well, do you think we'll be seeing an actual Hitman 2, new 2, not that 2, the other 2?
Not the OG 2, the new 2.
feral before it just shows up on Proton. Not shows up, but Steam's like, yeah, this thing works.
Well, Hitman's an interesting case too because they bought themselves out from IDOS and Square, right? So they're their own entity now, which means that any relationship that Square or Squeenix or IDOS had with Feral, is probably out the window. That'll probably have to be renegotiated. It may very well be that the Hitman guys will be like, yeah, no, you get Proton, deal with it.
Yeah. That's most likely going to be the case, which is unfortunate, but it's Hitman. It's that kind of game that I just don't. So I'm ambivalent.
Needs more board game.
Yeah,
I
like Hitman Go. Yeah, I like Hitman Go a lot.
Is more Linux, and unfortunately, that's not something we're going to be getting from Phoenix Point. Yeah, they do have a Linux announcement. You go there, they're like, "Ooh, news and updates on the Linux port of Phoenix Port." Now we've taken the difficult decision to withdraw support for Linux at this time. At this time, there's still hope, motherfuckers. Haha, believe it, right? For the following reasons. And you might have guessed it. It's the boilerplate excuses for incompetent developers. I really wish they'd just been honest with this. I mean, they basically have thrown down the, there's too many distros. We can just blow that out of the water. And also OpenGL hard. And we just fucking discovered this like yesterday, guys. No fucking idea. And that's kind of one of the things, man. Pedro, you have your own hot take on this. I kind of took it as we were kind of hoping, we were 100% relying on Unity to do all the heavy lifting for us. And it didn't when we tried it, because by the way, we just got around to testing the Linux thing after all this time, and it didn't work out of the box. And yeah, fuck Linux. I mean, they didn't say fuck Linux. They're like, yeah, I guess no Linux port. Wah, wah.
If we take it point by point, it's very easy to see why. So OpenGL is hard. Yeah, you're using Unity. The only reason that OpenGL would be hard is if you were, downloading shader packs off of the asset store. Oh, wait, you're doing that. Yeah, that's on you.
How do you know that? Where's your evidence?
They say so. They say so. It's like the second one. It's a number of adaptations to graphical shaders for them to work correctly.
You can't believe him, man. I don't trust him, Pedro.
Then they, test on many distributions. Like, how many times do we have to say it? Pick one. Pick Ubuntu. Does it work out of the box on Ubuntu? No. If people install Steam, does it work out of the box now?
I'm going to give you a very valid argument against this, which I've actually, not argument, I can absolutely see their side of this, because as there's some companies, small development houses that I've talked with, and I'm like, yo, what's up with this Linux thing? You think maybe they're like, very valid reason about Linux support, just why they're hesitant, hear me out, is something we talked about, I think 2 weeks ago. People using Steam reviews as fucking bug reports. And also people just straight up fucking lying about what distribution they're running.
Yeah.
And then they're like, it doesn't work, and they'll smash, and they're like, listen, I can't, I'm a small house, it's a 2-person team, and maybe I'm talking about somebody very particular. We can't risk just people smashing, leaving bad reviews because, whatever Moonbat Linux version they're running isn't supported.
And you are going to run into those people. That is inevitable, especially now that people have learned to gamify the Steam reviews for that. But this one, it's just another excuse compounded on top of everything else. And they say it's like the very last one I'm about. Okay, Linux specific Unity bugs. I was about to give them that. Oh, because the input system makes it so controllers don't work correctly. You're using the default input Unity system. Since you're so keen on using asset packs from the asset store for those shaders, why don't you try using Rewired? We have several games on Linux with Rewired built into them that work perfectly. That's not a fucking excuse. It's just not.
I mean, I gotta agree with Ben. Like, this entire thing smacks of we were expecting, Unity to do all the heavy lifting. And it's just canned sympathy and attempted faith. So it's like, oh, maybe one day we'll consider putting out a Linux version of this, which means, hey, you should just buy our game and we'll totally start saying we'll support Linux via Proton when this comes out on Steam. The other thing that really bugged me the wrong way is like about this news post is the line, driver support for Linux is not as comprehensive as for Windows and Mac. I actually laughed at this one. Our drivers do shit that like other operating systems haven't even implemented yet. In terms of like feature completeness, I think the Linux drivers are on par or better than whatever is provided in OS X or Windows for stuff like OpenGL or Vulkan.
What kind of driver support do you get on OS X? It's either installed out of the box or you're shit out of luck.
Exactly. But you see that OpenGL is the fastest, right? Yeah, because Apple.
Even the most hardcore apologist, even that person's bullshit detector was set off by this. And all we're asking for development houses, all you got to do, and I say this all the time to people, I don't need, it can be a bullshit reason or whatever. Just be honest with people. Be like, because we don't want to do the Linux port. It's going to be too much work for us, period.
Yeah, just say that. It's too much work for us. We don't want to do it.
I can accept that.
Okay. Cool.
When I look at this, I'm like, man, I can blow all the, because it's either bullshit or you just straight up lying to people, man. So, or you're that incompetent, which then I would question about buying your game. Anywho, also we need to mark, I think it was like 10:35 p.m. on today in the year of our Noodle, the 10th of November. Jordan said I was right about something. Okay, moving on.
I say that all the time. Whatever. Anyways, Lutris has a new version. Strider's deigned to open up his door and emerge from the cloud of marijuana smoke that is his house. And he pushed out Lutris version not 4.22 because he couldn't be bothered to do it on 420 because why not? There's a couple changes. It uses LSPCI to detect video cards instead of XRander. It'll detect if Vulkan is supported for games that are using DXVK. Proton is now considered a wine version in and of itself. Has some support for feral game mode, etc., etc., etc. You can check out that. The link to it's in our show notes. You can pull it down from your repository or build it, install it from Git, which Strider hates. So you should all do that anyways. Look, he has a Pine Book, and he can barely play YouTube
laptop
videos
for the ARM version of Lutris, which it's
a Python program. There's no ARM version of it.
Listen, till my dying fucking breath, it could be decades from now when I'm about to go out. You're getting a text, Strider, I'm like, where's the ARM version of Lutris?
I bequeath you in my will $1 million if you can release that ARM version of Lutris.
Just fuck with him. Right. I like this. I fully support this. Support Lupus on Patreon.
Yes. And enable Strider to buy more weed so we can put out Lutris more frequently. All right. Up next, you know what? Sometimes you might say, man, these people are crazy for putting out like a Linux gaming podcast for like 6 years. We're not as crazy as these guys. This is from our PCS3, the guys who are reverse engineering the PlayStation 3 so you can play it.
I got to laugh in OpenMW. Hang on. Okay.
You know what? I would say our PCS3 is a little crazier than OpenMW because they're just implementing a game. Our PCS3 is kind of implementing a bunch of games. They have a bunch of new improvements now, including some improvements to texture caching. Apparently, the architecture of the PlayStation 3 allows the GPU and CPU to both write to each other's memory and read from each other's memory. This does not really exist on PC or in the PC architecture. So the emulator can now examine memory from both CPU and GPU via some background process and do synchronization in the background while other things are going on. This creates some performance improvements and allows them to even get into games like The Last of Us.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that critically acclaimed game that we've been kind of waiting to play on Linux Land. They have a couple new games supported as well. You can there's significant performance improvements in Uncharted 2 and 3, and now Soul Calibur 5 is fully playable, so you can play it on Linux and not get your ass banned.
Pedro, do you have any thoughts? Do you care?
No, I'm just here for the Last of Us. I'm just here for the Last of Us news. That's what I've been waiting for, because I've actually made some decent progress in Demon Souls, because, you know, playing that at 1080p 60, like the PlayStation 3 was never able to do, Yes. Yes,
So
that's very nice.
Pedro, why are you playing Demon Souls instead of the Afro Samurai game? Which isn't how emulated
Check out the eyes on
correctly.
Brad. Watch this, man. Blah.
Come on, Cohagen, you got what you want. Now give these people air. Oh man, that's good.
Wow, it gets better.
I want to play this game. Screw that other one.
There better be a mode to go back to this. I mean, that's all I'm saying, man.
I'm totally into that. So you can get your Yakuza on as well if you want to play that through the emulator. You can support this also via their Patreon. This is just a really cool project, and I'm glad that like they're moving as fast as they are. And
that playable is slowly catching up to the in-game chunk on the graph that they have at the top too. That's very nice to see.
all done in Vulkan too. But Pedro, there's one more thing we got to cover, and it's about Dragon Quest, sort of, kind of.
Well, it will let you play Dragon Quest. It's a easy RPG, not 0.5.4 version, codenamed Antidote, and yeah, it's basically a re-implementation or compatibility thing of
like a dick.
RPG
I'm just
Maker.
saying, the dragon looks like a dick. And it just
All dragons look like dicks, Sven. All
dragons are dicks. What are you talking about?
Why do you think the company's called Bad Dragon?
Yeah, even the Game of Thrones one. But yeah, no, it's a compatibility thing for RPG Maker 2000 and 2003, and it also has the ability to, well, let you create your own games with Easy RPG directly instead of having to create them in RPG Maker and only using Easy RPG to just play the games. But no, there's a new version out, and they have fixed a couple of regressions. They also have a little blurb as to why you should be using Easy RPG instead. Well, because it's current. That's really the only reason you need to give people. It's, yeah, we're the current version. We're still actively supporting this. That's all we need. Oh, that's a lot of... Okay. I got distracted by Discord for a moment there.
No, you didn't. You got distracted by dragon dicks.
All right. Dicks.
Yes.
Don't lie to the people. Pedro, do you think you could take a crack at like making an RPG game like Cambridge Housing Simulator?
Well, I got a lot of experience on it. That's for damn sure.
I thought that was called This War of Mine.
We'll call him A. We'll call him B.
Closer. Yeah. A little too close to reality there, Jordan. Just a little bit.
Hey, it's brilliant. It's priced to sell, free, completely open source. So, yeah, man, go get your RPGs on, man, because I know RPG Maker is like,
oh yeah,
pricey.
It's got a sizable community, and they're cranking out games. So if JRPGs are your thing, there's certainly not a lot of them on Linux, but there are a lot more now.
Brilliant.
Coming up next, we're gonna instead of playing games on a potato, we're gonna play games about a potato. Oh my god, check it out. This is Share Acquisition. This is where we take a game, we break it down, and we tell you if it works, how it performs, how the graphics are, and how it controls, and we rate that on a pass-fail basis, and we give you a score at the end of that from 1 to 4 chairs. And then we also talk about how fun it is. And then we rate that arbitrarily on a scale from 1 to 4 chairs, because lawn chairs are the best scoring metric, period. This week, we're taking a look at Holy Potatoes, a spy story developed by Daylight Studios, done on Unity. You can pick it up for about 15 US wet stinky capitalism dollars. And what is it? Holy Potatoes, a spy story, question mark, is a wacky spy agency sim where you manage your very own potato spy headquarters, train an elite spy spud team, and strategize top secret missions while uncovering the truth behind an evil spy corporation. Dev sent us some keys for this, so let's get right into it. Ven, how did the potato run on your potatoes?
Hang on, I got lights in seizure mode. I gotta fix this real quick.
Oh no, he's turning into a potato.
That was terrifying. 1804, Ryzen 1700, ancient, old, crusty, 980, 16 gigs of RAM. Its thing didn't have an issue with it. I mean, it launched out of the box. It's a Unity join, so I was like, all right, shouldn't have a problem. 1080p and at UHD 2160p. Pedro will give it a mention. I mean, it's solid 60 for reasons. Graphics, look at it. Potato. Shut up, Sam. Not much to report about that. It looks good. It's well done. And it's all vectory. looking. You know what I'm talking about. It has that looks mobile is what I'm saying. As far as controls, you got rebindable hotkeys when you want to play around with it, and it's point and click and clickety click, 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 and more clicks. However, there's one small issue that is actually a genuine issue. It doesn't capture your fucking dribble cursor. So, in something with a map that you can drag around, it just keeps fucking going, Brad, when you go off screen. So that's really fun. It's not really going to fuck you up or anything, but it's hella annoying. And I'm also going to ding it a chair for that. However, if I can get back to the correct monitor, I'll give it a solid 3.
I believe.
I don't believe in me, man.
I believe.
All
right.
remember that you're on a show.
I was waiting for you to send it to me. All right, on Fedora 28 64-bit with the i7-6700K and the crusty, not so old GTX 1080 Ti that still hasn't died yet. Suck it, 2080. It launches, performance. I mean, it's locked at 60 FPS. So when you're playing it at what this game tells me is UHD, it still runs at 60. Anyways, graphics. Look at all those potato people, men and ladies. Book it. They're running, especially because I cranked the speed up because I didn't want to wait for shit. And control wise, you click on things. Sometimes it has a bit of problems figuring out what you're clicking on because of the isometric perspective. And sometimes one of your little potato spies will run across where you're clicking just before you click on the thing you meant to click. And that gets a little annoying. Not enough to ding in a chair. I'll give it 4 for Fedora.
And over here on Solus with the Ryzen 5 1600 and the GTX 1080, crushing it. It launches, absolutely no issues. It also remembered my settings, which is nice. It's weird that that's a thing that I'm actually happy to see in 2018, but yeah. The performance, it's locked at 60. Be it at 3040 by 2160 or 1080p, it just stays at 60, and I didn't really see a reason to turn off VSync, because look at it. And it has graphics, it has sounds. The sound was very low at first, then I realized, oh, they cut it in like half by default. That's nice, not, making people's eardrums bleed. Controls, you click on things or you hit the relevant keyboard shortcuts and things happen on screen, so that's good. 4 chairs from the Solus crowd.
All right, well, there you go. If you don't like your cursor getting trapped by your game, this is the thing for you.
I live for it. I wake up in the morning hoping it actually happens.
But did it enhance your fun with the game?
Well, hey, we've determined that it mostly works on 3 different operating systems. So good on you, game. Did we like it? Is it fun? Can you end that with a question mark? Well, I launched this. My first thought out of my brain meats was like, is this Pokemon? Kinda. Well, not really. Wait. It just got a Pokemon. This is basically how the first 30 minutes of this game went for me. Immediately followed by, what the hell? Now it's gone SimCity. Yep, that's an element. It's in there. What I'm trying to get across is the fact that the Poketator City, Spy Carbs, whatever you want to call it, has a lot of elements going on at once. I mean, you hire the taters, you train the taters, then you send your taters on non-interactive spy missions, then you build shit. The game. Period. That's pretty much it. I don't really think I missed anything. Maybe these 2 yahoos will elaborate on it. It's simple enough for my dumbass to figure out how to get things done, and it has a gang of stats if you want to go full metal spreadsheet simulator on this business. That's your thing. It's not my thing. Like Pedro's going to mention, anyone, I think, outside of like Strider, would be able to lose an hour just by opening this thing up and dicking around, seeing what it's about. Does a good job at that. However, I'm going to give you a pro tip. Developers, you'll need to change that Domino character that is genuinely just called Domino. A lot of characters are like, oh, Tony Starch, and oh, that falls under
Maruto.
Yeah, Domino, got the Domino thing, got the Domino
Super
hair,
Maria.
all this shit. I mean, this is straight up fucking Domino, man. I'm like, ooh, even though I know that's from Deadpool, they're still going to come after you. Disney going to sue somebody, and when they're done suing that person, they're going to come after you, give you a C&D, and probably sue you too, because that's what Disney does. For $14.99, I would say pick it up. I mean, if you like Pokemon type games where you have a school effectively of people or a stable, you train them up and you send them on missions, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's your thing. If you enjoy SimCity and you have any illusion that that's really a thing in this game, don't keep rolling, because you just build some shit and upgrade it. That's it. Never once did I see Mecha Barbara Streisand come ripping through. Also, $14.99. If you threw in like maybe an Archer skin pack for my spy potatoes, I'd be really happy about that. It's not there. I like it. It's competently done. I'll give it a solid 2. I'm out.
Yeah, much like this farming game, it's just a lot of waiting. Yeah, your spies, they have stats. Certain challenges require stats to pass between, or certain challenges require certain stats to pass because math and gadgets can sometimes increase or decrease your stats. Honestly, I can sort of see where Ven's coming from with the Pokemon comparison, because this is kind of a complicated game of rock paper scissors, which is ultimately what Pokemon is. But this game is infinitely more grindy than Pokemon, and that's saying something, because Pokemon is literally 100% grind. But here we are. So yeah, you end up training your dudes. You can send them on missions, or have them make items, or upgrade your facilities, or just and well, that's basically it. And you collect money that you use to buy more buildings, to buy more gear, to increase your stats so you can go on other missions, because some will just say like, hey, your characters are too crappy to go on this mission. Everything's on a time limit, so you have to sort of budget how long you spend doing you let a character spend doing a given thing before you send them off, because sometimes, oh hey, this guy needs to rest, but he's the only one that's allowed to do the next mission, so you better hurry up. The fake celebrity athlete fictional character things are kind of cute. Like I had Pac-Man and Super Mario, and it wasn't Star-Lord, they call him Sunboy or whatever. But yeah, Uncle Johnny's totally the pedophile uncle you had that you've repressed, so I don't know. Yeah, like, so some of them are cute and they got a chuckle, but the writing and like the cinematic portions are not that great. I don't know. Honestly, what I felt this game does a lot of is occupy time. I've sunk about 2.5 hours in here, and I don't think I necessarily felt entertained while doing it. I felt occupied. I felt like I was doing something, but then I put the game down and I'm like, man, I had a really fun experience. Man, I killed 2.5 hours. I'm gonna go make some chili. I'll give it 2 chairs. It's competently enough done, but it's not anything I would necessarily describe as fun, ?
Well, I lost 3 hours of my life when I started the game, and I didn't even realize it. It wasn't until I looked up from the monitor, it's like, why is it so dark? Oh, it's nighttime now. Huh. Okay. And yeah, I can't give it 4 chairs, because the more you progress, the grindier it becomes. You need to keep those spies trained. You need to worry about the money all the goddamn time. And that bit wasn't fun. I did get a chuckle out of the dialogue every now and then, but yes, it's very... They're trying really, really hard. They're not succeeding all the time, but they got a couple of decent chuckles out of me. What I would like is a chance to beat some of these missions unless I have a spy with 150 on all the stats, because that seems to be like the sweet spot. You get a spy up to 150 on all the stats, and all of a sudden you have super spy that can do all the missions all by themselves. And it's basically, if you get a mission that's anywhere above medium risk, just don't bother. It's impossible. And, well, all of those complaints aside, I very much enjoyed it. If a game makes me lose track of time like this one did, and I leave the game feeling, happy with the time that I spent, even though I only just then realized that it had been far longer than I originally thought it'd been, then yeah, it's deserving of praise. And I think it worked better on a tablet, but medium here is down to choice. Played it on PC, I still very much enjoyed it. So they did a good job, and as far as I'm concerned, it gets 3 chairs.
All right, well, that is that for Holy Potatoes, a spy story, question mark?
One thing I will say, kind of in closing, is one thing we were talking about in the pre super shows, and is I got a distinct vibe that the DNA, the origins of this game, the zygote of it, it seemed like it really, even with the buttons, it started life as a mobile game.
Big buttons, big text.
Feels like it.
I could definitely see maybe like this might be good as a mobile game because that's what you kind of want to do when you're playing on your phone, is just kind of occupy time between point A and point B, and you got to put your device down and do something. As like a sit down and play PC game, I'm just not feeling it.
It's hard to do. Hey, at least you don't have to worry about it capturing your mouse.
This is true. My mouse is free to go click on other things, like the podcast I was listening to, because I needed to have something else to listen to instead of this game. All right, coming up next, we got an NVIDIA hate mail segment, and then we're out. Then we guess play some Rocket League. I guess that's how these things usually go.
Smooth.
Sure, let's go with that.
Well, it's about time we wrap this up.
TikTok.
So, as usual, as usual, if you'd like to let us know how we did, the bits you didn't like, the bits you really liked, the bits you absolutely hated. After all, that's why we call it the hate mail. You can get on LinuxGameCast.com, you hit the contact button, you fill out the form. There may be a CAPTCHA, Google may ask you to train their AI. The only thing that matters here is that you pick LGC Weekly from the little choosy box. That's it, that's all you need to do. I think it's the default too, so just, give it a look just to be sure. Okay, you do what okay, right, cool.
Well, you've been successfully distracted. This segment's going to go on way longer than it needs to.
So, we only have the one bit of hate mail, which is very disappointing because, as I keep mentioning, this is my favorite part of the show. It's when we get to talk to you, or at least answer your questions.
You're full of shit, man. This is the only time of the week that you genuinely believe people value your opinion.
Shh. That's
anyways. Our first email is from Naka, however you pronounce it. Moving from Windows 10 to Ubuntu, my primary home desktop.
Why would you
have
do
a
that?
little experience with Linux? have a little experience with Linux. Not sure about any audio or a boy audio and more. Is Pulse Audio surround? Need recommendation for high grade sound card to buy for 7.1 surround that works on Linux. Do games support surround now? Question mark.
Some do. I know Counter-Strike Global Offensive supports up to 5.1. That actually works.
I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find a sound card that doesn't work on Linux.
It's actually harder to find games that will support surround on Linux.
Yeah, I don't know about games. First of all, you're right, Jordan. I mean, finding a sound device that doesn't just work with Pulse Audio,
that's going to require some doing.
Yeah, you're going to have to go on a hunt. You're like, but shut up, people. You don't know what you're talking about. I use this ISA code. And I know for a fact that a PCI Sound Blaster AW32 works because we recorded in the first 100 episodes on one.
Yeah, we made a nice hipster joke about it, too.
USB, I think everything works. Pedro, you talk about surround sound. All right, first off, ladies and gentlemen, if you have what you believe to be surround sound and you got a 3.5 millimeter single jack going in, it's not surround sound. Doesn't work like that, 100%.
No, the previous headset I had, the one with the blinky shit, had actual 5.1 surround. It was the drivers were really cheap, so if you pumped the volume all the way up, you would get some cracklies. But it did have surround, and you could tell because that's the only way that I know that Counter-Strike Global Offensive has surround and it works is because that headset actually let me hear all the different positions where it came from.
Air quotes around surround sound. That's not sound. The only way you're getting
it surrounds his ears. Yeah.
Well, basically, I see some people throwing down it's like, hey, this works. The only way you're going to get like surround sound out of like I have an X-Fi. The only way you're getting surround sound out of that is if you hook up the fiber optic connector called the ADAT and run that into a surround sound system with 5 to 7 outputs for the fucking speakers. And you can have things that emulate surround sound.
Yeah, it was the USB stuff, but yeah, no, it worked, and well, yeah. Oh, Truggy actually brings up a good point. Install Pavu control. That's the one thing you need, because if you do want to use your surround, because it'll just default to stereo, and if you want to use your surround,
Some
Pavu
games
control.
are like, what was the other? We were playing a game a couple of weeks back, and it's like, why is there 5 channels?
Yeah, I can't remember the name, but yes.
That's a true thing. So we've solved problems. I will tell you that if you want to get crazy with it, you can buy an interface. I think this, what does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4. It has 8 outs on it. That works. But don't hate yourself that hard, baby. Don't let Jack become between like you and a working sound system. No, don't do it.
Unless you're the Atomic Ass, in which case, go nuts. I'm not
Jordan,
gonna
have
do
you
that.
had any fun adventures with sound under Linux recently? Like something that you plugged in?
So here's the thing. I've never really been into like, oh, it's the 5.1, 7.1 experience. Usually, like I have a pair of cheapo Logitech speakers that are stereo, and I have these headphones that are stereo. That's about as far as I go. Because I just literally cannot be asked. So
Yeah, probably the wrong people to ask, but
yeah. I mean, you're an audio guy. It would be it's a shot in the dark. I can see the logic in thinking that.
So I don't even do any of that fancy stereo bullshit. So
yeah. The moral of the story is grow 7 more ears.
moral of it's just shut up. So that bombshell. Let's cue the music. You know it's find us around 9:30 Eastern Standard Moon Time. That's where we're at. Sitting here at LGC Actual and Space Canada, and no longer in Portugal. The man on the island, the caravan man himself. If you want to get a hold of me, I'm at Vinstone on Twitter, plus Vinstone at that. It's dead now, man. Find me on Mastodon or some shit.
Yeah, I'm Jordan. You can guess where my ears are. I'll give you a hint. One of them's on my butt, and you can send me the your other guesses at the Burning Fool on Twitter. Plus Jordan Swung on Google Plus until that shuts down, and at Frojo on our Mastodon at mass.linuxgamecast.com.
And I am now really, really looking forward to when they make like headphones that go up through your nose and poke right at your brain. You can find me at unaccounted4 on Twitter or at unaccounted4 on Mastodon. That's mass.linuxgamecast.com.
You can get those headphones that go up your nose by just getting some earbuds and shoving them up your nose.
This is why we can never be in the same place at one time, because right now, like the back channel communication would be me secretly messaging Jordan, be like, all right, which one of us is going to hold him down in the morning?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Because it is, baby.
Do demonic clocks do daylight savings time, or do they do it in the wrong order?
Listen, man, demonic clocks go tick, tick, stab.
The demonic clocks have daylight savings time.
Oh, I
Once
typed
every
in
other day.
clocks. I didn't mean to type in clocks. Sorry, typo.
Whoops. Whoopsies.
Schlick, stab.
What a think of a beautiful party people making this possible. No mattress ads. That's what we say.
Unless we get sponsored by Casper or something.
Casper, the friendly demon mattress. Boom.
It's super absorbent.
It's a ghost mattress. You lay down on it and you don't feel a thing. Well, except the floor.
You gotta lie down and you just fall through it.
You can sleep like God during the hot... tap the brakes and then.
Whoa.
Too hot for YouTube.
You know, that's okay, God. Or God. No, Ben isn't real.
You scared off Ray, you monster.
What, Frank agrees with Mama Diminishad or something?
Dynafire. We love you.
Bye.
Oh, bye, folks. Bye, thanks.